Hi everyone, this is Prasad from VK Technologies. Today we are talking about is .NET dying or already dead? Definitely not. In fact, it is flourishing. I would say there are n number of opportunities in the organizations, but there are very less skilled resources. So let's talk about a very important points actually to support that. The very first one is like a wide industry adoption. Many large organizations are actually using .NET for building their applications. So if you learn .NET, so you'll get an opportunity to work on these projects and for these companies. Okay, so that's a very important one. And the second point, I would say, cross-platform development. So this was a concern earlier when we were working in .NET. I'm still working. I'm an architect, but still, like when I was working as a developer, so the case was the .NET we used to develop and deploy only into the Windows servers, not into the Linux and Mac OS and all. So that was a concern. So we were worrying about it, and many of the Java developers were actually working on other platforms as well, since Java was a cross-platform. But Microsoft actually introduced officially on June 27, 2016, .NET Core. Okay, so that was a big boost for the .NET. So using .NET Core, we can definitely truly develop class platform applications. We could develop console, Windows Web, and any of the applications, and it can be deployed in any of the operating systems. So definitely that would be a big booster. So it is truly a cross platform. Then the next point, I would say .NET Core is a open source. So it is also a really important factor over here. So they have allowed since it is a open source, so they have allowed the developers and the community to contribute to the framework. So they can view the source code and they could participate in the development, and they can enhance, and there will be they can support on the improvements, all that can happen. So that's the reason it is a big booster, since it is a open source, and you don't need to pay for .NET Core. So .NET Core is free, and it is released under MIT license. So this means you can commercially and non-commercial purpose, definitely we can use it without any cost. Fine. Then, how about the career opportunities? As I mentioned in the beginning itself, there are n number of opportunities in the very big organizations. I would say definitely in the Microsoft, IBM, PwC, everywhere. There are n number of opportunities, and the skilled .NET resources are very less. That's an important factor. So definitely, if you can focus and learn .NET full stack, there are n number of opportunities. Okay, so this is a time actually. So I'm seeing on daily basis, we are keep getting the calls from so many organizations, and we have less resources. This has to be considered. Okay, then versatility. I would say .NET supports multiple programming languages, like C Sharp is a very major one. And earlier we used to use like Visual Basic as well, and it supports VC++, F Sharp, and number of languages. So whichever the language you are you learned it, or you are like well versed with that, then you can definitely go with that particular language and develop any kind of applications like console, Windows, or web applications. Okay, so that can be done. And nowadays, like even for example, like cloud platform. Anyway, I'll come to the cloud platform. So the bottom point here is, so you could use all these languages to develop the .NET applications. Then cloud native development. So nowadays, this is very important, right? Everywhere people are using, and all big organizations, or even in the startups, actually, they are developing and deploying the applications in the cloud itself. So for example, when you take like AWS Azure functions, so that you could actually write it in .NET Core, C Sharp, and Lambda functions in AWS as well. Definitely you can write it in C Sharp. So it goes well with Azure and other cloud platforms as well. Okay, so .NET integrates with all the cloud platforms like Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud. In fact, from the Visual Studio, you have a number of options to directly deploy into the Azure cloud as well. Since .NET is Microsoft product and also Azure is a Microsoft product, it goes well with this. It doesn't mean that you can't use .NET in other platforms. Yes, I have used it in AWS and Google Cloud as well. It goes well with that as well. Okay, but it is kind of tied to the Azure. You have more options when you are using the Azure. Okay, so then the next one is modern development practices. Nowadays, it is all microservices architecture world, right? Like Docker, Kubernetes will be using, right? So it goes well with that as well. In fact, there is a feature in Visual Studio. Directly, you could create a Docker file, and using the Docker file, you can develop, or I would say, you could create the images, and that can be deployed into the Kubernetes. So it goes well with that as well. Fine. Then a rich ecosystem. So .NET has a vast ecosystem of libraries, frameworks, and tools that streamline the development process. Whether it can be like it's for web development, mobile development, desktop applications by using WPF or Vim forms. So .NET provides robust solutions. Then the very I wouldn't say like last one, and it is a very important one. So Microsoft commitment. .NET is developed and supported by Microsoft. This is a leading technology company. Everyone is aware of it, right? With a strong commitment to its developer community. So Microsoft continuously invests in improving the .NET by introducing new features, enhancing performance, and expanding its ecosystem and all. So since you have a commitment from Microsoft, I don't see there will be an end to the .NET world. Okay, so we are good to go on that. And I would say, in the end, my comment would be like learn .NET and get a chance to work in large organizations with handsome salary. Thank you.